This is a sad week, I think. In a lot of ways, you might be thinking to yourself that Trump's going to get indicted for the third time. I don't know if that's sad or not to you.
It's not.
We could talk about the whole case that we saw with the website with 303 Creative and how there's a Michigan hair salon owner that's now refusing trans and queer clients.
No, I definitely want to hear more about that.
We could talk about that. We could talk about the fact that a judge in Texas is citing that as a license to discriminate against gay people. There's a spiral going on. Like Morty and I were very specific to say that, and Lauren even said it the wrong way at lunch, that
I say it the right way.
303 Creative.
Say it in your own
In
words.
my
no
own way.
license to discriminate against LGBTQ+.
Yeah, it's just a freedom of speech. So it's not that you can deny an LGBTQ plus person or someone for race, religion, sex, marital status, or anything else. It's that you can deny to express your work about that topic.
Services.
Yeah, but not services to the people, services you're performing in general to any person.
Correct.
And
Correct. So if like an LGBTQ plus person comes in and wants a regular cake at a bakery, you can't deny them a cake because they're LGBTQ plus. But if they come and want a pride symbol on the cake or want a cake for a gay wedding, technically you can, according to 303 Creative.
Well, only to the extent that you'd also deny the pride cake to a heterosexual person
Correct.
as well. Is that you don't
Correct.
make pride cakes.
Correct.
It's
Correct.
not that, and these two cases already are testing the bounds of that because they read it apparently like Lauren was mishearing it to say anyway. That's not why I'm sad. So I know Alex wants to talk about it.
He's sad because it's the 9 days.
The 9 days of what?
The temple being destroyed.
It is very sad about that,
Yeah.
but I always say "What up, cuz?" So I feel better
What up,
now.
cuz?
Now, that, but
That's why I haven't shaved.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I thought you were just trying to get this masculine good look
No,
I
it's a
got
sign
going
of
on.
mourning.
And what day are we on?
Thursday is the 9th of Av, which is a fast day.
But today is Friday, so
I think we're on day 3.
day 3.
Yeah.
And so, but we're not fasting today.
No, but you're technically not supposed to eat meat because it's celebratory. You're not supposed to go to weddings. You're not supposed to listen to live music.
And so, when you say meat, though, that doesn't include fish.
Correct. You can have fish. I actually saw something funny. Someone in my synagogue, like we have a synagogue guys chat. He, I guess
Like-
he's already sick of eating dairy, so he posted a picture of somebody like grilling milk.
Oh.
There's a
It's
thing.
like, what am I supposed to do?
There's a thing at Fresh Market, actually, of a cheese for grilling, which I thought was really bizarre. I thought it would like melt all over my
love
entire.
grilled cheese.
No, it was just the cheese. Yeah, it was like a big thick, and it was like made for grilling. They were like, put this on your grill instead of a steak. It was like a. It
Won't
was
it like drip
Weird.
into the fire?
That's what I just said,
Maybe
Laura.
it's
Yeah.
special. It's got to be special cheese.
So
Like fake cheese?
I want to go to all these topics, but I want to tell you about what's going on. I already referenced the "What Up Cuz" sign that we got going on.
Chaz.
As you see, we also have our Leapcast sign, and that's in honor of my sadness a little. I'm going to tell you about my sadness. It's
Are those two tears over there?
what do we got? Tears.
Like
What-
above the leaf
For
cast.
Andrew's
Is
sadness.
holding the sign. So if you don't know what we're talking about because you're
like
listening
two
to this
tears.
How do you
podcast,
know they're listening and not watching? We could be
Okay.
having people watching our clips
For the benefit of our listeners.
Yeah.
for
Yes.
the benefit of Mysticat.
if you want to watch the clip, you can go on Andrew's
See the
TikTok
tears, Andrew?
page,
Where's
which
the
is
tears?
Look above the leaf cast
listen
sign.
underscore
No,
to
go up.
underscore leave,
No,
but
down.
nobody's listening.
Yes.
Nobody's
yes.
listening.
No, those are the handles,
Because
Morty. Those
they're
aren't
just
tears.
describing
That's
the
from the
logo
post.
right now.
They look like
I'm
tears.
here with you.
Okay, thanks, Alex.
Morty,
Sad.
We're
Morty,
gonna
this,
go and watch
this
this
is
on
a
TikTok.
post. This is a post coming off. These are the hooks for the shingle that are going
Yeah,
there.
but you could also view it as you have the headphones on a head, right?
Yeah.
And then there's the tears coming from the eyes.
I'm
So
lost.
are we sad or happy tears?
But I'm gonna tell
Happy
you, I am
tears.
sad.
Tell me why you're
I'm sad. I'm sad not about. This is not why I'm saying this is a reference. I'm sad as an aside about Tony Bennett. But that's really not enough. That's not enough for me to be sad. He lived till like 96.
Yeah, no, it's not.
Long night, long life. But I'm sad because I think we're at the end of Bob Weir, and in honor of Dead and Company, and their final show in San Francisco. Did you see what they did with drones?
No.
Oh, so that's why we needed this
Okay.
neon sign now.
Tell me.
At their final show, they did like a laser light show, but not with laser lights. with drones in the sky doing, you got to watch this. It's so incredible. They had the Deadhead, they had the guy with the hat that comes off, from the Grateful Dead, and they had it moving. All the drones were doing this.
Oh, that's really cool.
And I'm really sad about it because I'll tell you what happened. And this is just nothing to do with our show, but you should be aware of these types of things in life because you start off with Jerry Garcia. And what happened in the 90s, he died, very sad. He sang roughly 75% of the Dead songs. You had Bob Weir singing about 15%. And this is what's interesting, is that Dead and Company started with John Mayer. He comes in, right? And you think John Mayer is going to take over for Jerry Garcia, which I
hate his voice.
yeah, I don't think it's a good trade. Jerry's
Is
amazing.
his body not a wonderland for
Well,
you?
it is for like every single celebrity out there.
So a lot of people, and they're Google Gaga for him, like
Oh, they're crazy.
I like John Mayer.
Oh my God.
both the girls.
Stories that
Totally.
I've read about him.
Blushing.
I was into Jerry.
He never left like a bar alone.
He's amazing.
Yeah, never.
But I have to tell you, Jerry was disgusting looking, and he also never left a bar alone because I think that when you're famous like that. But anyway, the point being that this is what I think is so interesting. Bob Weir took over for Jerry when Jerry died as the lead singer, so he started singing Jerry's songs.
Yeah.
And so a lot of times you thought John Mayer was singing, but he was just rocking out with the guitar. He played the minority of the songs, and Bob has like a much more like one tone voice. Like it's like, and Jerry was like more all over the place. So we're done with the Bob Weir line of all Grateful Dead songs. I think like he's kind of old now, and so we'll see now if we're gonna see. And this is what people are saying. I don't. Lauren's looking at me. Are we gonna have to see Uncle John's band? That's what people are saying is
Oh my
coming
God.
next.
Uncle John's band.
No, that's what they're saying because like Bob Weir said that he sees the Dead is each person expressing their music. I'm paraphrasing that he was able to sing Jerry's songs. He didn't take away from Jerry to sing the songs. It was just another way of saying it.
Yeah.
And if you see John Mayer's interview, if you're not Alex and Lauren, you could actually listen to the words and not just go goo goo gaga the whole time. Yeah. If you listen to him, he says that Bob really wants him to keep it going with the next act. And there's now a thing about what the next names of the new band's going to be. But anyway,
They're renaming it?
well, that's what I'm saying because Dead and Company had its final show. That's why we're sad.
Right, end of an era.
And
We're so sad.
Bob's gone. Very sad. We're trying to
He'll
get.
be alive.
We're trying to get lights.
Johnny.
He's alive, but he's done. And we're trying to get lights in honor of them because we want to be as cool as the Dead. And the question becomes, and I just bring this up, of is John Mayer going to let us down and go back to making, as Morty was saying, his songs?
What's his big song? Daughters?
Wonderland. You told us that.
No, Daughters.
Whatever.
Daughters, if you
Yeah.
have it
Be good
to your
I can cry
daughters.
right now. I
Are you
love it.
crying? Oh.
But the question
You don't have a
becomes,
tissue?
Such a monotone
But what I-
melody. Like,
It's
it's
emotional,
ridiculous.
Morty.
I guess the words are okay.
Bob Weir sings in a monotone too, and he sang all the songs. But I want to see, this is what I want to know, and this is a very important thing for the Leapcast. We're honoring this today. Is John Mayer going to go back Pansy style, or is he going to create the new era of the Grateful Dead? Are we going to have Uncle John's band? I'm gunning for that to be the name.
That would be cool.
I would
That'd be
just
cool.
love to see Uncle John's band. And like, I don't know if you saw it last week, they had Dave Matthews sing with them,
Oh, no.
with Dead and
He also
Company.
Probably
sounds
cool,
just
too.
like John Mayer.
And so what I'm thinking is you bring Dave drops.
No, he
Dave,
doesn't.
Yeah, he does. He got that
No, he
same
doesn't.
weird like accent.
I don't think
when
at
he
all.
sings.
No,
But
I
I-
just
he
saw
does.
Dave Matthews this week, and he looks like he's on a lot of drugs. I got to tell you.
Well, he's perfect for it then. What I'd like to see though is I'd like to see Dave drop Dave Matthews Band, join John Mayer, and they can now do the next Uncle John's Band.
I'm
and
cool with that.
I think it would be
I think
super
that'd be a
awesome.
cool collaboration.
I think so. We'll see.
Yeah.
So I'm on.
Waiting on the World to Change. That's his big song.
Morty.
Waiting on the world to change.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
No melody. He
I'm
just
on
says it.
social
Yeah.
media.
Oh, Morty.
And these people are fighting with me left and right, and they're fighting with me about like things like Hunter Biden. And I don't know if you saw Marjorie Taylor Greene start a revenge porn.
Yeah.
She decided revenge porn, and she put like picture of his schmeckula on.
So horrible. and
right?
wacky. Yeah.
What'd you do?
What she took a laptop and showed it. I think at
the hearing.
At a hearing, yeah. And it was him naked with his
Oh, but-
hoo-ha blacked
Who
out.
does
Yeah, it
that?
was blacked out. It was
Yeah,
blacked
I mean
out.
it was blacked out, but still such poor taste. Who does that?
Hoo-ha.
Crazy.
And
people.
so First of all, that could be a crime, so don't do it yourself. It's not a crime for her because anyone in the Congress, in the speech and debate clause, have immunity for what they do on the floor.
Right, but is it considered porn if you don't actually show the schmeckle?
It's questionable.
Yeah.
It's questionable without the
It's a gray
schmeckle.
area.
It's a gray area.
Well, black area, you said.
And it also might not be porn because he's of a public interest. Anyway, so someone was fighting with me on a
Wait,
lot.
hold on, wait. If you post a nude picture of someone of a public interest, it's not
There's
revenge porn?
Well, I want to say this. There's revenge porn that's a state crime, and then there's dissemination of an intimate image, which is a federal crime, a lawsuit, and that one has an exemption if it's public interest, but the state one may not. So I don't want someone in like Wyoming to be listening to this. I don't know if there's a law in Wyoming and do what they do, but there is an exemption in the federal law, Marty. But anyway, my point being, this guy starts going at me on social media, and he's telling me about how it's the Biden crime family, and how do I not see what they're doing, and going out, and I go, what does it have to do with revenge porn, dude? Like, I'm not saying that it's good, bad, or different. I'm saying, why is Marjorie Taylor Greene into revenge porn? At least show us his junk if you're doing it. Like, I want to see junk.
What was
Go
the-
the full
What was the
distance.
context? What was the context of it?
She
What
was
the point?
she was doing a entire thing about, I think, integrity of government, or I forget the specific context, but it was a hearing, and she just decided to revenge porn him. That's the whole point of revenge porn. There's no point besides trying to shame
I
someone.
remember I heard her talk. I don't know if this was the same time, but she was talking about how he was in this whole like prostitution ring.
Yeah, that's the
Is that what
concept.
it is? Okay, and that he was taking deductions for his prostitution expenses.
Honestly, I didn't focus much besides saying like this. I was like, you know,
We're
when
too busy trying not to focus on the schmeckle.
well, you know, when you're on TikTok and they show you like a little glimpse, and you're like, I want to see if they're really showing the naked thing.
Yeah.
I want to see how well she blacked it out. So I kept being like, did she miss a spot?
Zooming in.
I was zooming, I was checking. And so I was curious. But my point being that
How curious.
when
Yeah.
this guy's fighting with me, he keeps coming, and I go,
Circumcised, not circumcised.
He
No,
was,
sorry.
he was trying to Photoshop out the black thing.
well, I said back to this guy, I'm going to tell you, I was trying to Photoshop out the black thing, like Marty said. And, no, but that's my point. I was interested in that.
Yeah,
and
step
this
away from the.
And this guy on social media, some other people too, are coming at me about the Biden crime family and how I don't know about nepotism. First of all, that's not what nepotism means. But I don't think he got a job in porn because of Joe. But that's another story. My point being, I said back to the guy.
Let's just think about that for a second.
I said
I don't
back.
wanna think about
I said
it.
back to the guy. Why don't you get a life? Like, why do you care? And like, I think healthy people, and this is why we started the show this way. Healthy people are trying to zoom in on Marjorie Taylor Greene's pictures to see if you see a little junk in the trunk that's sticking out.
That's what healthy people
Yeah,
do.
yeah. I don't think they're listening to the Biden crime syndicate and trying to understand and be pro or against Hunter Biden. Now,
I think they're trying to measure the width of the rectangle.
that's what I'm trying to say. No, but if
I'm more concerned.
The length and the width of the rectangle.
But if you have a life, you're saying to yourself, I wonder if there's going to be Uncle John's band, and I wonder if Dave is going to join him. And I really love that drone show, how cool drones are. And wow, this clown show Marjorie Taylor Greene is trying to revenge porn someone. At least I could be entertained and see if she slipped up with the black marks
Right.
to cover it up. You're not sitting home, going into your basement and fighting over whether Hunter is getting nepotism to be a porn star, to be a... my point,
That would have been amazing if she held up one of her pictures and she forgot to black it out.
I-
Oh my god.
well, that's what my
That
whole
would be
point is.
amazing.
I'm picturing her like trying to use Photoshop, you know, like right before the hearing.
I think you guys...
Whose job was that? Whose job was that? You got to put the perfect
Intern,
size
intern.
rectangle.
Imagine your next job, though. Not that job, when you go to your next job and you're in the interview.
I
I
blacked
blacked
out
out.
Hunter Biden's
It's
penis.
going right on the resume. I get it.
But do you know if he has a penis or maybe he's post-surgery?
No, I think I've seen his penis.
What?
You have?
Oh my god.
Yeah, no, there are pictures of it on the internet of his penis.
Which internet are you on, man?
What sites are you on, Morty?
The same one as
From
Marjorie
his,
Taylor Greene.
no, from the laptop from hell.
That's what she was showing.
Yeah,
She was showing.
I think there are pictures of his junk.
His junk's,
Yeah,
his
or
junk's
maybe
no longer in the
I'm
trunk.
mistaking it with Anthony Weiner's junk. His junk I've definitely seen.
I guess the public is interested in intro.
We were in an elevator, Lauren and
Yeah.
I, at an Islanders game.
Wiener was there?
A bougie
Wiener
suite.
was in our
No,
elevator.
it was Wiener, our kids, and Wiener and our kids, and Wiener and our kids.
He was
and
wearing a Hawaiian
He was
shirt.
nice. He was funny. He was cool. We get out and we're with these other people, and he's like, "You let that Wiener by your kids?" And I was like, "We didn't let the Wiener touch our kids." And it was like a whole thing. Like, he got very upset. He was
changed his name before he started.
It was really bad for him. Like, you know. Although, doesn't he have a different name? Isn't it? What was his name? He had the best name. It was. What was his? Do you remember?
Yes. Oh, his internet name. Oh, it was awesome.
It was like Captain Huschlong or something like that.
I'm gonna have to look it up.
You have to look that up.
I gotta look that up.
If he didn't use a wiener pun, I'm
No.
not even interested.
It was amazing.
Oh.
It was amazing. So I want to tell you about the news I think is the most interesting. I think Trump's boring. What do you think, Alex?
I agree 1,000%.
Like, I don't care.
Boring.
I'm over it.
I'm not, like, when you and you correct me if I'm wrong. I'm over talking about it. I'm not over it like they should let him go.
No, I'm just
Yeah.
overhearing it.
What is it? What is it, Marty?
Carlos Danger.
Laura, we should have called him Carlos when he
Carlos
was on there.
Danger.
When we were in the elevator.
Hey, Carlos.
I recognize you. Aren't you Carlos?
It would have been better if we had Spencer do it. Like, are you Carlos?
Oh my god.
No, it would have been better because Ari is 4. If Ari would have yelled out, danger. I should have whispered his ear. Stranger danger. So I have to tell you, though, I'm over this Trump stuff. I'm over what's happening with Fani Willis. I want to tell you, I'm even over, although I didn't have it on my bingo card. With Trump, I have the Trump bingo card. It's the full set where you have the Atlanta charges, you have the New Jersey charges, you have the D.C. charges, you have the Florida charges, you have
New
the New
York?
York charges.
What about, you said DC.
But I didn't have any. I didn't have on my bingo card. I didn't have the fake electors getting charged in
The 16
Michigan.
people.
Yeah, that was totally out of left field.
Yeah.
And so that really blew my bingo.
Oh, I thought you were going to say you won bingo.
No, I lost because it wasn't on my card. And now I'm considering that all these states that had fake electors, they're all about to go down, and that's duty pan. What was interesting about that, the only thing I found interesting is I never heard of the crime of uttering and publishing. That's apparently a crime.
Uttering and publishing what?
So what that means is you forge or use fraudulent documents, and then you transact business with them.
Oh.
And I didn't know that. They got charged with that. They're facing 85 years in jail on 8 counts, and some of them are in their 70s.
Yikes.
Didn't have that on my bingo card. And honestly, they're a little interesting. Only because I saw one of these old hags that was one of them talking, and she was like, "We had no idea. The head of the Republicans called us in. We went in a room. They wouldn't let my husband in. I felt worried about it. I just signed in, and then they walked us. The head of the attorney from Trump, he walked us. They wouldn't let us in."
Andrew, you're channeling right
She was great.
now.
Well, you know what it is? I think that you're just giving me more credit because you're still thinking about John Mayer, and you're she's like, it's a wonderland. I'm just going to hold him up next time. But the most interesting thing, and he served me so well, I should send him fruit platter. The shithead is DeSantis did the winner for me of this week. The most interesting, and it's worth talking about, and not because he did it. It's just interesting. So I'm going to tell you what he did, and then I'd like to spend some time with you guys just discussing it because I think it's interesting.
Discussing it?
Lordy.
So DeSantis calls for the state investment manager to consider action against Bud Light's parent company. So let me break it up of what it is, and then you'll tell me what y'all think. Governor DeSantis is urging the state's pension fund to consider bringing a lawsuit against InBev, which owns Bud Light, because he's saying that they used this influencer, just to remind you, if you weren't part of the hip circle of people that have no life. For a little time, people that were not trying to remove the blackout of Hunter's junk or like worrying about John Mayer being in his wonderland.
Junk.
You know, the people, well, I want to squeeze. So here's the thing. I'm gonna be blacklisted by DeSantis for that one. But anyway, what he said, just so we're on the same page, is he did this whole thing, and he wants them to go after InBev, because InBev, and I want to just get the exact words right so we could be on this thing. It was radical social ideologies. So what he's saying is that the shareholders, so this is what we got to break out. Forget DeSantis, Try to forget everything. I know you're not going to forget John Mayer.
Waiting
I
on the
will
world
never.
to change.
But everyone else, I just want you to think about this. A company target markets a group. They hire a spokesman to target market that group. You could disagree with them targeting that group. You can protest, as DeSantis led the charge to protest Bud Light for that group. You don't need to drink their product, eat their product, use their service, all good. I don't disagree with any of that stuff so far. I think you're a fool, but I have no legal, I don't care. And so you do that. I don't care if I didn't think Bud Light was delicious to start with. So like, whatever. Yeah, it's like,
No harm, no foul.
no harm, no foul. Like, it wasn't like, I'm not drinking Bud Light now.
I wanted to drink it more after I saw.
I tried one after, and it was still not for me.
It does the trick though. It's like your good like neighborhood pizza store. Just like does the trick.
No.
I mean, it's fair enough.
I had one
in
last
college,
weekend.
It did the trick.
Like, I think if you're doing it, go Natty Light. Like,
Go all the way
yeah,
down.
go all the way. If I'm going there, I'm going there.
I used to play
Like a Pop's Blue Ribbon. Like that's
yeah,
what
the kind of beer you played beer pong.
Yeah.
I used to, speaking of beer pong, my favorite drinking game was Flip Cup. You ever
Oh,
play
yeah,
that? I used to
I love
love
Flip
that
Cup.
with Bud
I was
Light.
really bad at Flip Cup.
I'm so
I
bad
was
at
really
it.
good.
I liked it.
That was
Yeah.
really good.
Well, here's the thing.
Although I had
When you
bad
ladies
ass
say you were
reflux,
bad,
yeah.
though, isn't the name of the game to lose?
Yes,
Isn't it
it
more
is, unless
fun?
you're really
Right.
competitive. And
Like,
then,
Right.
when
It's
we
hard.
play these games, I'd always want to lose. Like, and I would,
Then you get really drunk.
yeah, torture myself some more after. Like, I lost again.
Right, right. That was the goal at that time.
Yeah, so anyway, here's the thing. Bud Light puts out this spokesperson. People protest this spokesperson, namely DeSantis pushing the protesting of Bud Light because of this person. They want to stop Bud Light because transgender bad, transgender is going to ruin our kids, transgender's going to ruin everything, except transgender is so bad because sexuality is so bad, except if you're Marjorie Taylor Greene showing junk on national TV while you're in the halls of Congress.
That's
fine.
good.
That's totally fine.
But this is bad. Let's go with it being bad. Can we accept, just for argument's sake, that Bud Light did a bad thing by promoting and target marketing, just for the point of,
For argument's sake, yeah.
let's just go with that.
Okay.
The question becomes, does target marketing the wrong group that offends other groups rise to the level of a breach of fiduciary duties to shareholders, where the shareholders can sue the directors for making a faux pas in their marketing? You understand where I'm going with this? DeSantis is saying we were against Bud Light in their marketing. They targeted a group. Bud Light's thought, just so we get off from the beginning, I never spoke to Bud Light, but I'm 100%
I just want
positive.
people to drink their beer.
Yeah, and they were like, listen, these transgender people could drink more of our beer, so let's target market these transgender people, make more money from them. And unfortunately for Bud Light, they didn't focus group on the other groups that were adversely impacted that didn't want to drink Bud Light, so it was a faux pas, it was a bad marketing, right, Mark?
They didn't control for how hateful people are.
Yeah, which is a mistake. But at the end of the day, the question becomes, and this is what I think is so interesting, if DeSantis is right, couldn't any business that the shareholders disagree with their target marketing
Yeah.
on basically any grounds, because I could say on this knowledge, everything's a radical social ideology. Just like he's admitted he doesn't know what woke means. To me, everything's radical social ideology.
Yeah.
Like, what does that mean?
Yeah. It doesn't mean anything.
It means nothing. So doesn't that mean that whenever you are a shareholder, like I'm thinking if he wins on this lawsuit of what he wants to do, I'm going to buy one share of stock in every company on the S&P 500. And the next time they target market someone, I'm going to say that's a radical social ideology and sue them for that. Because what he's suggesting is, so I want to point out, before Morty, I want to know if you even think, before I even point out, do you think that this is like even a viable lawsuit? Like, is this going to get laughed out of court? Like, let's forget if you agree or disagree that Bud Light should have or should not have targeted the transgender community. Let's forget for a second that DeSantis was behind the protesting, which, by the way, made the stock market value plummet, which therefore is the damages that he's now saying that he should sue for. So he caused in his self-fulfilling prophecy the damages that now he's suing for.
What is he claiming the specific breach of fiduciary duty is?
Target marketing to this group, because he's saying that this group was a radical social ideology. He's saying because you promoted beer to transgender people, which is a radical social ideology.
Well, I think the only potential breach of fiduciary duty is if they did it knowing that it would have a bad effect in terms of consumers that were against what they were doing, and it would be an overall negative.
Would that be a
negative
breach
revenue.
of fiduciary duty, though, or just terrible business?
Probably just terrible business.
Like
What
a
if they
breach.
want-
You're right. You're right.
To be clear, Alex, before we go there, a breach of fiduciary duty really needs self-dealing. You like.
No, right, but
Because-
can it be that they weren't looking out for the best interest of the shareholders? They were looking out for their social ideology.
Probably not, because you have what's called the business judgment rule, which says the board of an entity is protected from any bad decision as long as they didn't engage in some sort of self-dealing or corruption. And so the question becomes, maybe this is true. Maybe your point, and I'm not saying what you're saying is wrong, maybe it's that someone on the board is sitting around praying to transgender people. And they believe that they're going to sacrifice the whole company because they're trying to promote transgender people. Maybe they're coming out themselves. And they felt like their worldview was so terrible and they didn't actually care about sales. They just wanted
Right,
transgender
right.
people. It would have to be so
Right.
Yeah.
insane for it to become a case, because otherwise the business judgment rule
Right.
just protects against any of these suits.
Right.
Right.
I mean, look, in defense, they're just going to say, we wanted to target people of the LGBTQ plus community.
No,
to
they
drink-
didn't. They didn't want to target the L. They didn't want to target the B. They didn't want to target the G. They didn't want to target the
the T.
Q.
Just the T.
T.
Okay.
This was a just the T
right,
movement,
So they wanted to reach out to T's to drink their beer.
which is, again, to my point, I think it's so anti-business, and I have to.
That's my instinct also.
Anti-business. Like, let's assume, like, people are asking me, Newsweek asked me, they go, what's the evaluation of the case? And I couldn't even get there, because let's assume that the case doesn't have the business judgment rule. And let's assume DeSantis's pension wins. And let's assume they sue. What is the next business that, like, you're watching? I'm just going to go start watching commercials and be like, wow, the Barbie movie is targeting women, and I think that women should be in the fucking house all day, cleaning up and doing stuff. They shouldn't get dolls. They should be learning how to sweep all day. And I think what they're saying is that that's a radical social ideology. You're empowering women. I'm totally against this whole thing, and now I want to go sue on this Barbie movie.
Well, it's about as ridiculous as that.
Well, that's my point.
Yeah.
You can't get any more ridiculous on this. And so what I guess this is where we started the conversation, Morty. What up, cuz?
Well,
Chaz.
Well, you say Chaz, but how would have you spelled it?
CH, I guess Uzi.
Well, the chazaka, like chazaka, if you were to do a CHAZ.
Well, that's chazaka. That's
Yeah,
Hebrew.
yeah.
Yiddish, I think, would probably be with like a U.
So you think when you
Yeah,
were telling us you were the
chazaka.
chazaka, it's been Yiddish the whole time?
Yeah.
So I misunderstood you.
Yeah, I think you did.
You've
Wow.
been a Yiddish
wow,
chazaka
learning
when I thought
moments.
you were a Hebrew chazaka.
And now I'm a Hispanic chazaka.
You are Hispanic. Like Bona. It's appropriate for this. Did you feel like you were targeted?
I did. I did. I want
What
to
are
be
you gonna
more. I
do
want to
about
be
it?
more diverse here.
Here's the thing, though. Alex, I'm going to monitor. I know you want to talk about this. What's going on with 303 Creative? I'm going to monitor if other fools keep doing this.
Yeah.
Because, like, we have two so far. Like, the first one I told you about a second ago, about this hairdresser person that it's like crazy talk. It's like they say, I want to read you the thing if I can even find it. It's just so nutso. A Michigan hair salon announced on Facebook that she would not be providing services to transgender or queer people, reportedly writing that they should seek a grooming service for animals. Yeah, I'm not going to go into it yet. And then there was this other one that the judge in Texas, he's citing this new 303 Creative as a license to discriminate because it's for Jesus. And so I'm going to monitor and see if more of these things happen. And if it starts spreading, we'll do like a whole show about it.
Love it.
But for now, here's really where my show is. And this is where I want to be thinking about the Leapcast today. You have a day where Tony Bennett, who, by the way, rocked out with Lady Gaga.
Yeah, he's very cool.
Very cool. And he had Alzheimer's and he was still performing. Like the guy in his 96. Then you got Bob Weir, national treasure, passing the baton to Uncle John's band, who I'm hoping is going to recruit Dave Matthews. And then you got Marjorie Taylor Greene giving us revenge porn that we can all be talking about online. And the question becomes why you're sitting home thinking to yourself, the radical liberals are going after Trump. It's the Biden crime family. Bud Light.
Just like that.
Bud Light should be sued because they help the gays. They don't even say transgendered. I think the real message is get a life. This is the Leapcast.